working on a logo, designing logos. Um, I think logos are one of those things that are done oftentimes with Illustrator. It's probably the predominant program where we would design logos, and logos surround us every day. You're inundated, and you've seen hundreds of logos already today, and it's only whatever 1:30. And you'll see hundreds more logos between now and the time you go to sleep tonight, whether it be on TV, on commercials, on magazines, on the products that you're using. They're everywhere. Okay, so we're going to spend a little time just talking about that. Somebody, Aaron Draplin, somebody knows, awesome, right? So we're gonna look at some work by Aaron Draplin, who's a design hero of mine. Cool guy. Met him a few times. Um, my claim to fame, he's ridden in my car. I took him around town once when he was here in Orange County. Let me find a picture. You guys don't believe me. I know that. I think I got it saved up in my favorites here. Give me a second. It's been a couple years, but he came and talked at one of the other colleges I used to teach at, and he needed a lift around, and I said, let's get in. Let's go for a drive. So, but yeah, he's a cool guy. He's really got a cool design inspiration. He kind of inspired me to kind of start my own business, and just say, hey, design can work, and you can make this happen. Um, Let me see. I'm looking. I'm looking. Hold on. Should have brought it up. I got family pictures. You don't want those. Photo. I think we're getting close to the time frame. That's what happens when you have 20,000 pictures in your camera. It's time to update the phone. Get a new one just so I can offload all these pictures and get a new one. Anyway, so we're going to look at Aaron Draplin. I think he's a great guy on how to design logos. He's got a good process. We're going to go through that in this short little video that he has. Hopefully that will show well with you guys. I think if I play it, you guys can hear it on your side and everything else. But if you want to check it out later, it's going to be on our website, so you can see it there. Where is Aaron? I should double star him so I can make him show up. So just a quick intro before we get into Aaron, because we're going to kind of start with his ideas. Aaron is a designer up in Portland, originally from, I believe it's Michigan, and he does great work. He's done a lot of work for skate, surf kind of thing. It was kind of this thing, but now he's doing pretty much everything. He's got a couple cool books out. I'm trying to think where I have his book here. I know I have his book here somewhere. He's a funny guy, and he's got some good talks. The one we're going to watch is very clean, meaning he's not cursing in it, but he's got some other talks where he curses. That's the way he is. He cleaned this one up. But he is just a really good designer, real solid. His style is kind of very retro. He calls it thick lines. He's inspired a lot by the work of designers past. And I think as a designer, that's definitely something we should look at. It's like, what's been done and how did it work? And does it still work? And can we reincorporate that? Retro has been kind of, I don't want to say it's been in, because I don't think it ever kind of went away. I think it's just kind of been there. And we're still into this kind of like minimalism a lot. So we're seeing a lot of bigger design companies or bigger firms switching to a more minimalistic approach to design. So that's kind of fun. But again, in order to go to a more minimalistic design, you have to have this kind of huge presence. literally meaning millions and millions of impressions, meaning your eyes have seen it, a ton of times. So you know that that M, that golden M now stands for McDonald's. Okay, so and again, it took time. It took decades to get to that point where they could kind of get rid of all the verbiage that goes with it and just kind of go with an M in that particular case. I can't find Aaron's picture. Anyway, trust me on this. I'll find it. Um, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. There's. This is a big guy. Can you see that? It's looking all blurry here.
I think you could see it. Just
Lighting, right?
yeah,
Maybe
it's
maybe also stop sharing screen so I can see a bigger bigger
What's
version
that?
of this. Maybe you can
Stop
stop
sharing
sharing
screen. Okay.
so we can actually look. Ah,
That's. Oh, it's like it's. I
you
can
can
see it.
also lower the brightness.
There it is. Serious.
There
That's
you go.
him. And then there we are.
oh
Okay, we're chilling.
yeah, now I can see.
Cool
We're,
guy.
we're
Yeah,
chilling. So,
that's pretty cool.
yeah, Aaron's cool. He's a cool guy. So anyway, let me go back to my share. I'm going to go through just real quick some um, logo, and then we'll get into Aaron's little presentation, and then we'll do a quick logo demo in Illustrator today. So let me pull that up. I have just a very quick little presentation. And boom. All right, can everybody see this? Am I sharing the screen right? History of logo, everybody see that? Yes, thumbs up, okay. It's quick, it's a very quick PowerPoint. And then we'll get into some more fun stuff. And then, hold on, I got more over here, chat coming up. All right, so logos have been around and obviously with us forever. And logos are really kind of a way to identify, in the early days, a company. So let's kind of get into that and where they come from and all of that, and then we'll go. So the idea of art and the idea of creating imagery has been around since prehistoric times. In art history, you're going to learn about the cave paintings in France and the animals and creatures that were created there. And again, we're going to move quick. And then we saw things like in Egyptian, we have hieroglyphics. We've had the idea of imagery that's on things. Now, again, I wouldn't call these necessarily logos, but they were kind of communicating. Okay, so they were symbols that were starting to communicate. In the medieval times, we would have these coats of these shields. And again, they were a symbol of a kingdom, a royal court, the king, the queen, an army, whatever it happened to be. So we've had these ideas of symbols and crests that have been around for years, hundreds of years. And we're still using these today. And many times you're going to see these even on more contemporary products, where they're kind of going back to these ancient kind of looks and feels. Now, late in the 1500s, we started getting what we call printer marks. And these were just kind of marks that were symbolic of a publisher. So you can kind of know who did that book. Some of that would give legitimacy to, the quality or the company that you're getting your books from. Again, we're just starting the very early era. Early 1600s, we started to get newspapers. Okay, people were starting to be able to read. Okay, so reading or people were learning how to read. Prior to this, it was basically only religious people, monks and rabbis and those kind of people that were reading. And they were reading, basically biblical or religious text. There was no just kind of, in this case, a newspaper was born or telling stories type of thing. The 1800s brought about the Industrial Revolution, and that kind of changed everything. We went culturally went from more of a agricultural society into a more urban setting. We started to have things manufactured, and you know, the in the agricultural side, it used to be you had your some tools, right? Your axes and your hammers and stuff, and you would make what you needed to make. Um, Come to an industrial world with an urban world, we would go and purchase things, right? So you would have a job, whatever that would be, and then if you um, needed a new table, you wouldn't go make it yourself. You could actually go buy one at the furniture store. Or you needed flour, you would go to the flour store. You know, in days past, you would either make your own flour or you would trade some of your farm goods to another farmer to get the flour. And with this industrial age came companies. And with the idea of companies came trademarks and logos because we want to be able to identify the products coming from particular companies because we like their products and we like their services. Um, and we start to get into this idea of color printing, and logos became not just this black and white thing, but they turned into um, color. Okay, and we could start to get in the 1600s printing of this level, and you start to see logos. This is an early Dr. Pepper ad with the Dr. Pepper logo on it. So as companies grew, we need to have marks or labels or logos that were symbolic of that brand so you could get it again. Okay, and you could ask for it by name, and companies were evolving and growing. Prior to this kind of period, they were basically small stores, small business. Okay, during the Industrial Revolution, we got this rise of bigger business, and even some businesses that got so big of, you know, the railroads and Standard Oil and um, communication giants, you know, start to come about with Morse code. So we would get these bigger, much bigger companies in the 1800s. Prior to that, everything was kind of small and everything was very, very local. One of the first trademarks was Bass, okay, Bass beer. It's the first registered trademark in the UK, and it was one of the first time when we're starting to get this idea that there's a mark or a symbol for a company. And we'll talk about registered trademarks and copyright. Do that a little bit later. I don't want to spend too much time on that today. Now we've got the evolution of marks. Um, Things like the I Love New York, designed by the great Milton Glaser, you know, which is become symbolic. And again, that's a logo. It's a logo for the state of New York. Tourism is really what it is, but they use it all over the state, plus also in New York City. We have things like Starbucks, right? So this is the new Starbucks. This is the older Starbucks. It's evolved because we know what it is now. We don't need to put the word Starbucks coffee on it anymore because we've seen it over millions of times, hundreds, at least thousands in your lifetime. Likewise with the M, it used to say McDonald's underneath. Apple used to say Apple. Target said Target. Now it's just a bullseye. Nike said Nike. Shell Oil said Shell. Okay, so we've got these kind of marks that are changing because of our understanding of it. So they're simplifying them down. But we still have companies that use a traditional, we call a word mark, Coca-Cola. Okay. And this, again, is one of the most iconic brands in the world there. Right. Um, so logos become this kind of mark. And in this case, they've also started to become on your phone. They become these icons for something like Instagram. Okay, the old Instagram logo and the new one. Okay, I still like the old one better, but that's beside the point. That's me. Something like Mastercard went from this, which was around for decades, to basically two circles intersecting, which was from here, and the word Mastercard. Something like Budweiser, they change their logo all the time, to simplifying it down. Okay. Yeah, Amazon just changed theirs on their app at least. I don't know where they've changed it everywhere, but yeah, there was actually a story about that because at first there was kind of some resemblance to a little Hitler mustache, so they went and changed it really quick after people started complaining or noticing with their new icon on their logo. So, but ultimately, logos are typically around um, for a while. Okay, I mean, it costs a lot for a company to develop a logo, to have its logo, and it's not something they're going to change every 2 weeks. Okay, with let's say you work on a brochure or something like that for a company, they're going to change a lot. Okay, they're going to change it quite often. They're going to be able to do that because it's a design piece of design is meant for a short period of time, whereas a logo is meant to last for years, if not longer. Okay, and think about something as complicated as a logo. We'll take McDonald's. They're actually going through a branding now of their packaging, redoing some stuff. But that M, right? They got to duplicate that on all the restaurants, all their stores, all their digital assets, their commercials, and all that takes time. And then to switch it takes more time and it costs more money. I mean, Walmart changed. Well, I don't know. So maybe it's been 8 years or 10 years now. They went to the Walmart with the little, I call it the sun, next to it. That's a newer logo for McDonald's. I'm sorry, for Walmart. And it cost them, we'll say millions. I'm sure it was more than millions, like tens of millions to switch over. So you got to figure every store, the sign had to change, all the trucks, all the uniforms, all the signage within the store. Um, the logo is used in thousands of different ways. They have to change all of that. So you'll find that companies kind of keep their logo for a while, and that's why I think it's important to do good logos, um, so they don't have a crappy one and they're kind of stuck with it, because they know even it costs them a lot. Even like a small little pizza company, it's going to cost them like to change the sign outside the store, or their menus or their uniforms or their pizza box. All those things cost a lot of money to get changed over. So I think doing good logos is really, really vital, for companies, and we're going to kind of get into that. Let's see what else we got in the slides here. The future logos, again, they're just going more, and this is a good example of how everything is obviously going digital. So we have to think of logos being used on these large format digital ways, small on websites. We've always kind of thought about them small for business cards, but they're everywhere, right? And they're on more and more things today than they've ever been. Okay, so designing a good logo is going to be important. So let's kind of get into what a logo is, and we'll go through the couple different types of logos as we go here, and we'll kind of mock up one too. We'll do a quick mock up. So let me close this out. I'm going to put on the Aaron Draplin. But you guys got to tell me if you're not hearing this well. Okay.